Hello, this is Sarita, and I'm here to help you understand the truth about who you are. So what I thought I'd do today was to give you some practical tips or a method in order to understand and execute the healing of a trigger. So basically, what I'm going to show you is how to alchemize a trigger within your body vessel, a practical methodology. So basically, a trigger is when someone outside of you or something outside of you, something that appears outside of you, triggers you like a gun, and it activates a wound inside you. And generally, when people trigger you, what happens is that they are, if you like, projecting their own trauma or wounds or negative emotions and experiences at you because they don't want to deal with it themselves. So basically, a trigger is when you're walking around in reality and someone says or does something or something happens and you feel absolutely activated in a really negative way. So let's say, for example, I don't know, you have an accident and it really damages your body, and it's not just the damage of your body that's hurting you, but you feel very wounded, like this always happens to you. You're a victim. You don't know why you always have accidents. Why is it always you? Why are you always in pain? That kind of thing. Or someone says something to you like, someone criticizes you, for example, and instead of just being able to see and feel the criticism for what it is, all the criticisms you've ever sustained kind of rise up inside you. So I had a very critical step parent. So this was a trigger that I had to really work with for years and years. So if anybody criticizes, it doesn't happen now, but if anybody used to criticize me, it was like all of those old childhood wounds used to rise up. And that one criticism used to feel massive. So it triggered me. This is a trigger. When an old wound comes up and the pain or the suffering or the emotion that you feel feels unbearable or too much or really extreme. So someone's triggered you. And as I said, generally, they've triggered you because it's something they don't, they're projecting at you. And even life, in a way, projects at you. So if you've had an accident, reality is projecting something at you that is unhealed. And if somebody criticizes you or is angry at you or has a behavior at you, it's because they're not alchemizing their own wounds, basically. But now you, as an awakened person, as a person on the road to enlightenment, has the opportunity to alchemize the trigger, because what we can do is we can alchemize everything. We're like creator consciousness in expression. So something's triggered you. Let's use the criticism. Someone's criticized you. And within the body vessel, so the body is a container that houses or holds your divine essence, your soul, and all of the energy and stuff and consciousness and plasma and information that is there within. That something in there gets triggered, okay, in the body vessel. So what you do is, as soon as humanly possible, once the trigger has happened, so you don't respond to the trigger, you don't react to the trigger if you can help it. What you do is, as soon as it's humanly possible, you go and find a quiet space on your own. And you get into a meditative state. So in other words, you relax and calm your nervous system as much as you can. You slow down your brain waves. You're getting into a kind of altered state, which opens the doors of your awareness and perspective. So you've relaxed the body as much as you can. We're only human. And if you've been very triggered, that may be difficult. So you get into a quiet space, and what you do is, if it's been a long time afterwards, you may have to recall the event. But if it's very soon afterwards, you probably won't have to. So what you do is you allow the trigger to rise up in you. You allow yourself to feel the trigger. So in this case, the criticism. And what you do is you're feeling what's going on within the body vessel. And this can be extremely challenging and painful. And it can be even more painful if the trigger has come from someone projecting their stuff at you, because you kind of got a double whammy in a way. So it's almost like they fired, a bullet into you. So you've got their pain as well as yours that you're feeling in the body vessel. And then what you do is you simply sit there and allow yourself to feel everything that's rising up in you. And I got triggered literally yesterday, and I went and I sat with this trigger. I couldn't do it till the evening, so I had to really recall it. But I knew immediately that I'd recall it because I suddenly had this real deep, hot shooting pain inside my two lower ribs. And I remembered this pain from my childhood. It was a real memory. And so what's going to happen as you allow yourself to sit with this pain, you're just going deeper and deeper into the pain or the trauma or the wound that the trigger has activated. So in my case, it was this sort of hot, searing pain inside my two lower ribs. And I just sat with it, and I sat with it, and I felt with it, and I sat with it. And I didn't, and you're not intending to try to fix it or push it away. Okay. So the idea is you don't try and do anything with it, except allow it to be what it is. And as you do that, as you really take your courage and sit with this pain, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to realize it's not going to kill you. That yes, it's challenging, but it's not going to harm you or hurt you, not in the kind of survival sense. You're not going to die from feeling the pains that this trigger has caused. So you sit with it, and you sit with it, and you sit with it. And what's going to happen as you sit with it is memories will come up. Like mine, it reminded me of my childhood. Memories will come up. You may get new emotions that come up. You may feel like you want to cry or scream or shout. If you can, obviously allow those feelings to flow through you. Don't try and suppress them. This is about sitting with what is and allowing what is to be felt. The trigger has only activated something that you are already holding within you. And so you allow yourself to feel all of those things, and you may get kind of bizarre imagery or symbols that come up. And as I've said, memories or emotions that you've been suppressing. You just sit with it, you sit with it, you sit with it. And you may even get kind of enlightened insights coming up. Oh, I suddenly realize why I do this behavior or why I do that. And so you just sit with it, and what you're going to notice is that it transforms and changes. And this is part of the process of seeing a memory or having an insight or a new emotion rising or going tears or feeling angry. This is the transmutation process. It's you sitting with something in complete acceptance of what is, and that is. And basically, as you sit with this, eventually what will happen is your decision to sit with the trigger in total acceptance will alchemize it, if you like, back to its original form, which is the state pre-creation of infinite potential. So it's kind of a state of love, because infinite potential is waiting for your desires, your true desires, to call it forth into being. So what happens as you alchemize a trauma is it goes back to its original pre-creation state. Now, if it's so once it's gone back to its pre-creational state, you're going to feel this kind of relief and emptiness. And even if you sit with the trauma, let's say you've only got 5 minutes to sit with this trigger and this trauma, your intentionality of sitting with the trauma will mean that when your 5 minutes is up, the process will keep going. And you may find that in your reality, you get triggered again and again around this specific subject. And if you work with it, if you keep giving it 5 minutes of acceptance, that process will continue. And at some point when that energy or that essence or the plasma, if you like, has gone back to its pre-creational state, you're going to feel the relief. It's going to be gone or cleared, or a better way is it's been alchemized within you. Now, obviously, if the wound is very deep and if the trigger is very big, it could take a while. It could take a while to heal it. I've just healed my hips, which took me 2 years to heal my hips. And it wasn't easy. It was not an easy process. And it required a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of attention. And it was a very interesting experience because every time my hips were triggered, which in my case was triggered by abandonment stress, and obviously doing things like physical activity triggered it because it was expressing itself as a physical pain rather than emotional pain. But every time I was triggered, I would sit with it. And I was having the most extraordinary learning curve. I was seeing, other lives, all kinds of stuff was showing up in my hips where, just so much was showing up. It was really showing me what I've held onto and refused to look at because it was a really big thing. And it went all the way back to an abuse in childhood and beyond that into other lives. And so triggers can be very, very deep. They can be ancestral, cellular memory, past lives, just from your childhood. They can just be huge things and they can take a while to heal. But sometimes you can heal a trigger just in a few minutes. And if you've done your inner work, this trigger that comes up might be the final one that alchemizes and clears the whole thing. So it's well worth doing. So that basically is the method. It's really not rocket science. It's about allowing the trigger to rise up within the body vessel and just feeling what it is. Just feel what is. And healing your triggers or transmuting your triggers can heal your physical body. It can heal you from long-time disease. It can heal you from deep emotional pain. It can heal all of the way you work in relationship to everyone and everything around you. And what happens is it really brings you long-lasting happiness. And let the trigger rise up. Try not to project back or out of you because the alchemical process needs to happen within the body vessel. As soon as you can, go to a place that's quiet, sit within the trigger, allow it to rise up. Don't try and fix it or change it or push it away or suppress it. Feel what is, accept what is, let things arise as they need to. Don't hold anything back if you can help it, and keep repeating the process until the trigger has been cleared. And give yourself a pat on the back. This is just an amazingly awakened way of being because you take full responsibility for your own emotions, remembering that no one else can make you feel anything. That is your choice. And when you take responsibility, authentic responsibility for your choices, feel who you are in full acceptance of what is, healing occurs. Thank you for listening.